Coming live from the Tivoli Met Radio studio here on the Auraria campus, this is All Sports with Gerardo. Thank you for listening to All Sports through Met Radio on mymetmedia.com, live every Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. This is your host, Gerardo, and all I talk is sports. On the show today, I'm going to talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, Nhl Hockey, college football, and college basketball. So before I start the show, I hope you all had a great week. To start off with some Major League Baseball. Last week, Major League Baseball players Luis Valbuena and former Major Leaguer Jose Castillo died in a car accident. The Major League Baseball winter meetings are taking place in Las Vegas this week. Jonathan Scoop and the Twins have agreed to a one-year contract. Billy Hamilton and the Royals have agreed to a one-year contract. Andrew McCutchen and the Phillies have agreed to a 3-year contract. The Yankees re-signed free agent starting pitcher J.A. Happ to a 3-year contract. Charlie Morton and the Rays have agreed to a 2-year contract. Lance Lynn and the Rangers have agreed to a 3-year contract. Justin Bour and the Angels have agreed to a 1-year contract. Chris Herman and the Athletics have agreed to a 1-year contract. Joe Kelly and the Dodgers have agreed to a 3-year contract. Juris Familia and the Mets have agreed to a 3-year contract. The Nationals traded pitcher Tanner Workick to the Reds, and the Reds traded pitcher Tanner Rainey to the Nationals. There was a 3-team trade between the Mariners, Indians, and Rays. The Indians traded Edwin Encarnacion to the Mariners. The Mariners traded Carlos Santana to the Indians. The Rays traded Jake Bauers to the Indians, and the Indians traded Yandy Diaz to the Rays. The Blue Jays have released Troy Tulowitzki, and he is still owed $38 million over the next 2 years. Brandon Hyde is going to be the Oilers' next manager. So since the winter meetings were taking place in Las Vegas this week, there were a lot of rumors made, and there were a lot of moves that were made in free agency and in trades. So now that the winter meetings are coming to a conclusion this week, there should be a lot of other moves that take place next week and into the following weeks after the holidays. Also, what to watch for: Bryce Harper and Manny Machado and the other big name free agents should start going and visiting teams and make their decision of what team they're going to sign with in the coming weeks. So stay tuned to see where Bryce Harper and Manny Machado will end up playing for. But right now it's kind of rumored that Manny Machado has interest in the Yankees, and the Yankees do want to pursue Manny Machado. With Bryce Harper, there could possibly be a reunion with the Nationals, and he could remain with the Nationals and go back. There's rumors that the Dodgers, the White Sox, the Cubs could also be in pursuit of getting Bryce Harper. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens during free agency. At the winter meetings, Rays owner Stuart Sternberg announced the Rays' new stadium project in Yober City, a suburb of Tampa, has fallen apart, and no new ballpark will be built for the Rays. The Rays will be stuck in Tropicana Field until 2027. Stuart Sternberg stated, "For the last 10 years, the Rays have been working to get a new stadium, and he wants to continue these discussions, but the team's options are extremely limited. The Rays are also going to explore other options, which may also include relocating the team." So there was a lot of rumors saying that the Rays were going to get a new stadium right before you hit the Tampa City limits off the highway, and they wanted to get a new stadium and move it closer to Tampa so more people could commute back and forth. And they believe since Tropicana Field is down in St. Petersburg, that people from Orlando and from other cities surrounding the Tampa Bay area don't commute back and forth because it's a bit of a drive and a distance. And it kind of is, especially coming from Orlando. When I went down there, it was about an hour and a half just to get to Tropicana Field from Orlando, and another hour and a half to get back to Orlando from Tropicana Field. So it is a bit of a drive. And if you have been to Tropicana Field or you've seen pictures of it, it is an older stadium. And you can tell that the Rays do need a new stadium. So there were rumors that they were going to get this new stadium off the highway before the Tampa City limit. But according to the Rays owner, this deal has fallen apart. And he stated that for the last 10 years, they've been in negotiations of getting a new stadium. But the city of St. Petersburg has not let the Rays get a new stadium. The lease is not really up quite yet. It wasn't supposed to be up for the next few years. So right now the Rays look like they're currently going to be stuck at Tropicana Field. The lease from the beginning was not supposed to be up for a few more years. So this is going to be an ongoing situation. We're going to have to see what happens with the Rays, but there is a possibility that if they do not negotiate a new deal of getting a new ballpark in the Tampa area, that they will possibly relocate. We're just going to have to wait and see, but this is going to be very interesting. So right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NFL football. The Broncos' 3-game winning streak came to an end last Sunday against the 49ers. The Broncos lost to the 49ers 20-14. For the Broncos, Case Keenum had 186 yards and 1 touchdown. Phillip Lindsay had 1 touchdown. Tim Patrick had 85 yards on 7 catches. Deshaun Hamilton had 47 yards on 7 catches for 1 touchdown. Darian Stewart had 1 interception. Von Miller had 1 sack, and Bradley Chubb had 2 sacks. Von Miller's also getting close to breaking Simon Fletcher's record of all-time sacks in a Broncos uniform, so watch out for that. He may possibly break that record this weekend against the Browns on Saturday here at Mile High Stadium. So stay tuned for the Broncos game this weekend against the Browns. For the 49ers, Nick Mullins had 332 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jeffrey Wilson had 90 yards on 23 carries. George Kittle had a big game with 210 yards on 7 catches for 1 touchdown. Dante Pillis had 49 yards on 3 catches for 1 touchdown. DJ Reed had 1 sack, and Ronald Blair had 1 sack. So, looking at the Broncos-49ers game, both Case Keenum and the quarterback for the 49ers, Nick Mullins, they were both undrafted quarterbacks. And looking at this game, Nick Mullins actually played better and had a better game than Case Keenum. They're comparing Nick Mullins to Case Keenum, a practice squad quarterback that had to come off the bench due to Jimmy Garoppolo being injured, played better than an $18 million quarterback. So it's unfortunate that happened. But the Broncos just had a bad game against the 49ers that were 2-10 at the time, and now they're 3-10. The 49ers currently one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. Since the Broncos couldn't beat the 3-10 49ers, their playoff chances are slim now, and it's not going to be easy for the Broncos to try to win their last 3 games. The Broncos would need to win out. The teams in the hunt fighting for the last AFC wildcard spot would need to lose their games. And what's really hurting the Broncos right now, which is the reason why I think they lost this game against the 49ers, the Broncos are without many of their key players on offense and defense due to their season-ending injuries. They're without Emmanuel Sanders. That's a big blow on offense. Their number 1 receiver right now. So there's a lot less touchdowns and catches that are going to happen at the wide receiver position. But that gives a chance of rookie Cortland Sutton and Deshaun Hamilton stepping up and showing what they're capable of. And just like I said about Cortland Sutton, He's definitely shown a lot, and he has a lot of potential for the Broncos and to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. On defense, they're without cornerback Chris Harris. He's out for the rest of the year unless they make it into the playoffs. There's been a lot of key injuries on the offense, especially with the front line, with the guards, their center. So that's hurt them quite a bit. Their defense has also suffered some injuries, but some of these players have been able to come back, like Derek Wolfe, so that would be their only disadvantage right now. Otherwise, I think they would have been able to win this game against the 49ers and play better football their last few games and going into their final 3 games of the season. Now there are questions surrounding head coach Vance Joseph and the rest of the coaching staff, so they're probably just going to wait till the end of the season to make their moves at who they're going to fire, who they're going to keep, or what's going to happen the day after the season ends for the Broncos. So keep an eye on that. If the Broncos do happen to fire Vance Joseph at the end of the season, they already have possible candidates of who could replace Vance Joseph, and I like the candidates that would be a possible replacement for Vance Joseph, so I can't wait and see what happens there at the end of the season. 49ers tight end George Kittle had a record-setting performance against the Broncos on Sunday. He set a new single-season record for receiving yards by a 49ers tight end. He set the 49ers single-game receiving yards record for tight ends. He came within 5 yards of breaking Shannon Sharp's NFL single-game record, and he surpassed 1,000 receiving yards. George Kittle finished the game with 210 yards and 1 touchdown. He now has 1,130 yards on the season, leaving him 56 yards back of Travis Kelce for the most yards among NFL tight ends. Rob Gronkowski has the single-season receiving yards record for tight ends with 1,327 yards back in 2011. If George Kittle can average 75 yards per game for the final 3 games, he can break Rob Gronkowski's record. There's no doubt that George Kittle is one of the league's best tight ends. It's only his 2nd year in the NFL. He definitely has a lot of potential, but you definitely need to keep an eye on George Kittle, even though he's on the 49ers. And a lot of people do pay attention to Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, but I definitely would put George Kittle in their category. He has a lot of potential in the NFL and to have a great career as a tight end. So this guy was definitely a big surprise, even though the 49ers are 3-10 right now. Last Sunday, Tom Brady broke the record for the most career touchdown passes, which was held by Peyton Manning's 579 touchdown passes. Tom Brady now has 580 career touchdown passes. Tom Brady also has the record for the most career passing yards and the most touchdown passes to different receivers. So Tom Brady here, he just keeps adding on to his Hall of Fame resume. He's definitely going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's definitely one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. Titans running back Derrick Henry had a big game against the Jaguars last week when he rushed for 238 yards on 17 carries for 4 touchdowns, which is the franchise record for the Titans. Derrick Henry also had a 99-yard touchdown. He is the 2nd player in NFL history to run 99 yards for a touchdown, and Tony Dorsett back in 1983 is the only other player to run for a 99-yard touchdown. The Raiders have fired general manager Reggie McKenzie. The Vikings have fired offensive coordinator John DeFilippo, and Kevin Stefanski will take over. So if you have been paying attention to the NFL, there's been a lot of firings, especially head coaching wise and offensive coordinators. A lot of teams that don't have a great record and don't see their team making it into the playoffs this year have already made the moves, and they have not waited until the end of the season. But expect some more head coaching firings and other coaching positions to happen at the end of the NFL season. There's definitely some head coaches and other coaches that are on the hot seat and there will be a lot of other moves that will take place the day after the season ends. The Saints have released Brandon Marshall. Chiefs safety Eric Berry is expected to make his season debut against the Chargers. The last game Eric Berry played in was Week 1 of the 2017 season before he tore his Achilles. It's your last chance. Vote your favorite or the best NFL players into this year's Pro Bowl. There are many players that deserve to participate in this year's Pro Bowl. The NFL announced the 2020 NFL Draft will be held in Las Vegas. In the current top 10 NFL rookie rankings, this includes Darren James, Chargers, Darius Leonard, Colts, Bradley Chubb, Broncos, Baker Mayfield, Browns, Shaquem Barkley, Giants, Philip Lindsay, Broncos, Leighton Vander Esch, Cowboys, Denzel Ward, Browns, Washaun Smith, Bears, and Quentin Nelson, Colts. That's the current top 10 NFL rookies this season, and they've all had great seasons so far. And definitely the Broncos and the Browns have two rookies that made the top 10. The Broncos got Bradley Chubb, who could possibly be the NFL Rookie of the Year. Philip Lindsay's having a great season as well, especially being an undrafted player. He's definitely proved a lot of players and teams that he is capable of being one of the best in the NFL. Browns got Baker Mayfield, who could possibly be the NFL Rookie of the Year, and they also got Denzel Ward as well. So to see two teams have two rookies make the top 10 is definitely a great accomplishment. In the current top 10 NFL players under 25, this includes Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Danielle Hunter, Jared Goff, and Myles Garrett. So these players definitely have a potential of having a great career, especially Patrick Mahomes. We've seen what he's been able to do this year. He could possibly even be the NFL MVP, so keep an eye on him. The Chiefs are going to make it into the playoffs and possibly to the Super Bowl. They have a lot of potential. They also got Tyreek Hill, another great player as well. The Rams got Todd Gurley, Jared Goff. That could be another team that can make it to the Super Bowl as well. We're just going to have to wait and see on there. But definitely the Chiefs and the Rams have players that made the current top 10 players under 25. So keep an eye on all these top 10 players that I listed, because they definitely have a lot of potential in the NFL and to be one of the best players in their position as well. In the Week 15 NFL Power Rankings, the current top 10 NFL teams are the Saints, Chiefs, Rams, Chargers, Patriots, Bears, Texans, Cowboys, Seahawks, and Steelers. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the rest of the NFL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now. Right now I'm going to tell you the NFL regular season Week 14 final scores. I will get into the highlights from this week of football and the current division standings and playoff picture in the AFC and the NFC. So to start off, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Tennessee Titans. The final score, the Titans won 30-9. The New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. The final score, the Jets won 27-23. The New York Giants versus the Washington Redskins. The final score, the Giants won 40-16. The New Orleans Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The final score, the Saints won 28-14. The New England Patriots versus the Miami Dolphins. The final score, the Dolphins won 34-33. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The final score, the Chiefs won 27-24. The Indianapolis Colts versus the Houston Texans. The final score, the Colts won 24-21. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Green Bay Packers. The final score, The Packers won 34-20. The Carolina Panthers versus the Cleveland Browns. The final score, the Browns won 26-20. The Denver Broncos versus the San Francisco 49ers. The final score, the 49ers won 20-14. The Cincinnati Bengals versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The final score, the Chargers won 26-21. The Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals. The final score, the Lions won 17-3. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Oakland Raiders. The final score, the Raiders won 24-21. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. The final score, the Cowboys won 29-23. The Los Angeles Rams versus the Chicago Bears. The final score, the Bears won 15-6. And the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. The final score, the Seahawks won 21-7. So that's all the final scores from the 14-week of regular season football. The highlights from this week of regular season football: the Seahawks were able to win at home against the Vikings. The Vikings had a hard time scoring points, so they ended up firing their offensive coordinator the next day after they lost the game. The Bears were able to beat the Rams at home. The Cowboys were able to beat the Eagles at home. The Raiders were able to win a close game against the Steelers at home 24-21. The Chargers were able to win at home against the Bengals. Unfortunately, the 49ers beat the Broncos, and the Broncos did try to come back after not scoring any points in the first half, but it just wasn't enough as time was running out, so 49ers ended up winning this game. What hurt the Broncos is the injuries to their key players, and the 49ers had a great game. Nick Mullins and George Kittle, especially their tight end, he had a big game and a big performance, which helped the 49ers beat the Broncos. The Browns were able to win at home against the Panthers. After the Packers fired head coach Mike McCarthy, they were able to win at home and beat the Falcons 34-20 with their new interim head coach. The Colts were able to go on the road and beat the Texans in a close game 24-21. The Chiefs were able to win at home in a close game against the Ravens in overtime 27-24. Lamar Jackson for the Ravens had to come out. They brought in Robert Griffin III. He tried to win the game, but the Chiefs were able to pull this out at the end. The best game of the week. This was definitely a game that you needed to watch, and it was the best thing I saw this week. The Patriots were playing against the Dolphins down in Miami. This is always a great game when the Dolphins are hosting this game down in Miami against the Patriots, and the Patriots have to go on the road and play against the Dolphins. For the last few years, the Dolphins have been able to beat the Patriots down in Miami, and this year they did it once again. And this wasn't just any other Patriots-Dolphins game. This was one of the best games even in the NFL as well. Patriots were winning this game, but on the final play of this game, you got to remember, you got to play for a whole game. You don't give up on the final play. Dolphins got the ball. They were trying to figure out how they could win this game. All they had to do was score a touchdown to win this game. And they started out, threw the ball. Guy was running. The ball kept going back and forth, and the football landed into the running back's hand. And believe it or not, he went all the way, and he ran that ball all the way, and believe it or not, he made it all the way to the end zone as time expired. And the Dolphins were able to beat the Patriots by 1 point, 34-33 in a close game. And the Patriots would have clinched the AFC East and won. And they would have clinched another playoff berth. But the Miami Dolphins had other plans to spoil this celebration for the Patriots. The Saints were able to go on the road and beat the Buccaneers This was also a close game, but the Saints were able to win this game 28-14. This is also another great game. Even if the Buccaneers aren't having a great season, they usually can beat the Saints down in Tampa. The Giants were able to go on the road to Washington and win this game 40-16. The Jets were able to go on the road to Buffalo and win the game 27-23 in a close game. Another great game from this week of regular season football was the Jaguars-Titans game. Derrick Henry, the running back for the Titans, had a big performance. He ran for 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also had that 99-yard touchdown run, one of the longest touchdowns in the NFL. That's one of the longest touchdowns you could also do as well. So another great game, the Jaguars-Titans game, the Patriots-Dolphins game. These were the 2 best games from this week of regular season football. So right now, looking at the current playoff picture in the AFC and the NFC. To start off with the AFC, the Chiefs are 11-2. They're the first seed, and they did clinch a playoff berth. They're also currently leading the AFC West, but the Chargers do have a chance at trying to catch the Chiefs if the Chiefs do lose a game or two and the Chargers can win out. The Patriots are 9-4. They're the second seed and they're leading the AFC East. The Texans are 9-4. They're the third seed and they're leading the AFC South. The Steelers are 7-5-1. They're the 4th seed. They're leading the AFC North. The Chargers are 10-3. They're the 5th seed and they're the first wild card spot. The Ravens are 7-6. They're the 6th seed and they're the second wild card spot. In the hunt in the AFC, the Colts, Dolphins, and Titans, they're all 7-6. In the NFC, the Saints are 11-2. They're the first seed, and they also clinched the playoff berth. The Rams are 11-2. They're the second seed, and they already clinched a playoff berth in the NFC West. So depending on who wins or loses, that can determine if the Saints or the Rams are going to be the first or second seed. They're currently tied at 11-2 right now. The Bears are 9-4. They're the 3rd seed, and they're leading the NFC North. The Cowboys are 8-5. They're the 4th seed, and they're leading the NFC East. The Seahawks are 8-5. They're the 5th seed, and they're leading the first wild card spot. The Vikings are 6-1. They're the 6th seed, and they're currently in the second wild card spot. In the hunt in the NFC, the Panthers, Eagles, and Redskins, they're all sitting at 6-7. So that's the current standings in the current playoff picture in the AFC and the NFC. Definitely a lot can change in the next 3 weeks and the final 3 weeks of the regular season. So moving on now. Right now I'm going to tell you all the matchups and what teams go up against each other in the 15-week of regular season football. And I will also get into what to watch for this week. So on Thursday Night Football, we got the Los Angeles Chargers against the Kansas City Chiefs in an AFC West battle. This is definitely going to be a great game. This is always a great game when these two teams face each other. You definitely need to watch this game. This can determine who wins the AFC West, depending on who wins this game. On Saturday, we got the Houston Texans against the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns against the Denver Broncos. On Sunday, we got the Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions against the Buffalo Bills, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Baltimore Ravens, the Arizona Cardinals against the Atlanta Falcons, the Oakland Raiders against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Tennessee Titans against the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins against the Minnesota Vikings, the Washington Redskins against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Dallas Cowboys against the Indianapolis Colts, the Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots against the Pittsburgh Steelers. On Sunday Night Football, we got the Philadelphia Eagles against the Los Angeles Rams. And on Monday Night Football, we got the New Orleans Saints against the Carolina Panthers. So that's all the matchups in this week of regular season football. What to watch for this week? Can the Saints go on the road and beat the Panthers? This is always a great game. Are the Eagles going to be with or without quarterback Carson Wentz? Is he going to be able to play, or is he going to sit out? Can he play for the rest of the season, or is he going to be out for the rest of the season? We're going to have to wait and see what his status is, but currently they're saying the injury that he has, he will not require surgery, but anything can change. And can the Rams win at home against the Eagles? Can the Patriots go on the road and beat the Steelers? Can the Cowboys go on the road and beat the Colts? With the Redskins quarterback situation, can they go on the road and beat a struggling Jaguars team that currently has a backup quarterback? After the Dolphins beat the Patriots at the end, can they go on the road and beat the Vikings up in Minnesota? Can the Raiders go on the road and beat the Bengals and win another game this season? Can the Buccaneers go on the road and beat the Ravens? Are the Ravens going to be with Lamar Jackson? We're going to have to wait and see. Can the Bills win at home against the Lions? Can the Packers go on the road and beat the Bears? Or are the Bears going to beat a struggling Packers team? We're going to have to wait and see, but this is always a great matchup as well. Can the Broncos bounce back from losing against the 49ers and win at home at Mile High Stadium against the Browns? We're going to have to wait and see, but the Browns are definitely going to challenge them with quarterback Baker Mayfield. If you can, watch this game against the Chargers and the Chiefs. This is always a great AFC West matchup, and this can determine who wins the AFC West. Can Patrick Mahomes keep adding on to his MVP resume? Can he be MVP of the NFL this year? We're going to have to wait and see, but we got two MVP quarterbacks going up against each other, and this is going to be a great game. And Patrick Mahomes definitely has the potential of breaking that 55 touchdown record, which is held by quarterback Peyton Manning. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens in this game. So that's what's to watch for in this week of regular season football. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about the NBA and NHL. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to NBA basketball. Last weekend, Dwayne Wade played in his 1,000th career NBA game. The Golden State Warriors were named the 2018 Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year. The whole team won this award because they're talented for everything they have done on and off the court. And it would have been hard to pick between Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, or Kevin Durant to win this award, since they're all talented NBA superstars. Spurs head coach Greg Popovich passed Pat Riley to move into 4th place for the all-time coaching wins. Only Jerry Sloan, Lenny Wilkens, and Don Nelson are in front of Greg Popovich. So far, the Nuggets are having a great season, and they have been a top 10 team in the NBA and in the Western Conference. Despite key injuries to their starters Will Barton, Paul Millsap, and Gary Harris, which has sidelined these players for a few weeks, the Nuggets have been playing good basketball, and they have been able to win games without some of their starters. The injured starters are expected to return to the court in the next few weeks, when Will Barton, Paul Millsap, Gary Harris, Isaiah Thomas, and if Michael Porter Jr. plays this season. The Nuggets have a young, talented roster, and they have been looking good so far, even with these players sitting out due to injuries. So when the Nuggets have all their players on their roster healthy and they're all playing, expect the Nuggets to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA. You can't doubt the Nuggets, and they've been looking great so far, even without some of their key players. So keep an eye on this young, talented Nuggets roster. The Nuggets signed Nick Young, Swaggy P, to a contract on Monday to add another player onto the roster and to come off the bench to produce some more points. Cavaliers' Tristan Thompson is expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained foot. Suns owner Robert Schaefer threatens to relocate the team to Seattle or Las Vegas if they don't get a new arena deal. Phoenix and the Suns have discussed renovating Talking Stick Resort, or building a new arena and remaining in downtown Phoenix. So the Suns have been in the talking stick resort for the last few decades, and they could use a renovation, but there's been a deal that kind of went through that they were going to renovate the arena, but now it's saying that it fell apart. So according to the new rumors, there's no deal for the renovations to take place at Talking Stick Resort or to build a new arena. So we're gonna have to wait and see. Seattle and Las Vegas is definitely looking to adding a NBA basketball team there, whether it's a team that relocates or an expansion team. The NBA is not really looking at expanding right now, but they could definitely relocate some teams, and the Phoenix Suns may be on that list. So keep an eye on this situation if the Suns don't get a new arena or a new deal done in Phoenix. They will be on the move to Seattle and Las Vegas, and they would be willing to build a new arena for the Suns. Right now I'm going to give you the current NBA standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. So to start off in the Eastern Conference, top 8 teams right now are the Toronto Raptors, Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, Indiana Pacers, Boston Celtics, Charlotte Hornets, Detroit Pistons, and the Orlando Magic. So that's the current top 8 teams in the NBA Eastern Conference right now. Definitely, it's early in the season, so a lot can change. So we got to keep an eye on the Eastern Conference, but there's definitely a lot of talented teams and rosters. In the Western Conference right now, I'm going to list the top 8 teams. Believe it or not, the Nuggets are still the best team in the West right now. They're the first seed. Just like I was telling you, you got to keep an eye on these Denver Nuggets. They're playing some great basketball, even without their starters. So I highly encourage you to go watch the Denver Nuggets at the Pepsi Center, especially when they have those big games, because they need your support. And I can see this team making it into the playoffs as a top 4 seed in the West, not as a bottom 4 or missing the playoffs. So they shouldn't miss the playoffs this year. But injuries can kill any team in any sports, especially if it's their key players. Golden State Warriors are the second best team in the West. Then it's the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Los Angeles Clippers. They've been a surprise in the NBA so far. The Los Angeles Lakers are playing better basketball right now. Keep an eye on them as well. The Memphis Grizzlies, Dallas Mavericks, that rookie Luka Duka, you definitely need to watch him play. He's definitely a great player. And watch some film on him if you don't know who he is. And the Mavericks are expected to get Dirk Nowitzki back sometime soon. So they're even going to be a better team, and they have a pretty young, talented roster. And the last team is the Sacramento Kings. So definitely need to keep an eye on the Western Conference as well. Still early in the season as well. But there's definitely a lot of teams you need to keep an eye on in the Eastern and the Western Conference, especially teams that have been a surprise. They're starting to make their way up in the top 8 seeds in both conferences as well. In the Week 9 NBA Power Rankings, the current top 10 NBA basketball teams are the Warriors, Raptors, Bucks, Thunder, 76ers, Celtics, Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and Grizzlies. Moving on now to NHL Hockey. Right now I'm going to give you the current standings in the Eastern and Western Conference. In the NHL, the division standings go off the amount of goals a team scored, not by the wins or losses, by the team. So to start off in the Eastern Conference in the Metropolitan Division, right now Washington's leading this division at 39 points. In the Atlantic Division, right now Tampa Bay is leading this division at 49 points. In the Western Conference in the Central Division, right now Nashville's leading this division at 41 points, but Winnipeg's right behind him at 40 points. And the Colorado Avalanche are right behind them at 39 points. You also need to keep an eye on the Colorado Avalanche and go watch their games at the Pepsi Center if you have not yet. They've been playing some good hockey lately as well too, so it's a great time of year to be in Denver right now watching our hometown teams, especially the Nuggets and the Avalanche, since the Broncos have been a disappointment once again this season. In the Pacific Division, right now Calgary is leading this division at 42 points, and Anaheim's right behind them at 39 points. So that's the current standings in the Eastern and Western Conference of the NHL. Right now I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I will talk about college football, college basketball, and the end of the show. Welcome back to All Sports with Gerardo. Moving on now to college football. The 2018 Heisman finalists included Todd Tuavila, Alabama, Kyler Murray, Oklahoma, and Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State. For a second year in a row, from Oklahoma, quarterback Kyler Murray is a 2018 Heisman Trophy winner. Last year, Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield won the Heisman Trophy. And looking at Baker Mayfield now in the NFL as the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, he's definitely having a great season, and he could possibly be the NFL Rookie of the Year. So keep an eye on Baker Mayfield, because he's another great quarterback as well. And Kyler Murray should be another great one as well. Last Saturday, Army beat Navy 17-10. The college football bowl games start this weekend, so start watching those bowl games that start this weekend. But once we get to the end of December, before the year ends and going into 2019, that's when you really need to watch the bowl games. We got all the big games happening, taking place with all the top teams in college football. And then the college football playoff national championship will be in the middle of January. So definitely keep an eye on these college football bowl games. Moving on now to college basketball. In the men's college basketball AP top 10 poll, the current top 10 college basketball teams are Kansas, Duke, Tennessee, Gonzaga, Michigan, Virginia, Nevada, Auburn, Michigan State, and Florida State. This can definitely change, and there's been a lot of teams that have been moving up and down in these top 10 rankings. Moving on now to end the show, what to watch for this week in sports. The Broncos' next game is this Saturday against the Browns at Mile High Stadium. The 15-week of regular season football, the Denver Nuggets, they got some big games coming up here at the Pepsi Center this weekend against the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Toronto Raptors. So you definitely want to watch or go to those games. They're going to be great games, especially when they play the Thunder here at the Pepsi Center. That's always a great game. Definitely got to see the highlights from the last time they played here at the Pepsi Center last year, when Gary Harris was able to win the game for the Nuggets off that three-pointer at the end of the game to win that game. Also, the big matchup on Sunday, got the Nuggets against the Raptors. The two best teams in their conference, in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The Nuggets were able to go to Toronto a few weeks ago and beat the Raptors up in Toronto. So now the Nuggets are looking forward to beating Toronto once again here at the Pepsi Center. So we're going to have to wait and see if they can beat the Raptors again. But that's definitely going to be another great game to watch. And also watch the other Nuggets games after that. Dirk Nowitzki is also supposed to make his season debut sometime soon. So he should be played for the Mavericks when they go up against the Nuggets next week. Definitely keep an eye on the college football bowl games that start this weekend. College basketball. Moving on now, on the next show, I will talk about NFL football, Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, NHL hockey, college football, and college basketball. I hope you all have a great weekend. Tune in to the next All Sports with Gerardo show next Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. I want to say thank you to everybody that listens to All Sports through Met Radio here on mymetmedia.com. Subscribe or like my pages on social media at All Sports with Gerardo. Until next time, this is Gerardo.